So next up in our Disney series will be Dumbo from 1941. And to give myself a little something for the background, we have a nice elephant here. Play the role of Mrs. Jumbo. And to play the role of Timothy Q. Mouse, kind of, Dumbo's little friend that helps him. We have Marpique. But I think we're missing something. Let's see, we got a big elephant, got a mouse. It's a Dumbo video. I know I'm missing something. Oh yeah. Dumbo. Had this for a while. Now I can use him. Dumbo. Right there with his mama. Right where he should be. Now you can see him better. Slightly better. So Dumbo, of course, was made in 1941. That's when it came out. It was made alongside Bambi, and it was actually one of the movies that actually resulted in actually saving the Disney studio. There have been a few movies throughout the course of Disney that have kind of been, saviors to the studio. Dumbo was one of them. It kind of went back to, because if you look in Dumbo in comparison to some of the other movies, particularly with Bambi that came directly after it, Dumbo, the animals are not necessarily 100% anatomically correct. They're more drawn in like the silly symphony style that they had done from the 30s into the 40s. We started with Steamboat Willie and Mickey Mouse and everything, and they slowly got more and more. Not necessarily realistic all the time in certain cases, but some of them did. And Bambi was kind of the pinnacle of that, of trying to make them, or at least for the time. But for Dumbo, they went more with kind of the slightly more cartoony stuff. I mean, you still get all the emotion from the characters, of course. But you slowly work your, you watch Dumbo and then you watch Bambi, and it's like, okay, yeah, very different in drawing styles here. They were done by two different teams, but Dumbo itself is a little bit more, I put it more as like a very long, silly symphony, and they themselves have said that. And it came along when Disney really needed another hit. They'd had Snow White, and unfortunately, because of World War II, Pinocchio and Fantasia unfortunately didn't bring in as much money as they had hoped it would. And so that resulted in them doing Dumbo. And Dumbo itself doesn't have the main character, actually, out of all of the Disney titular characters, for all the characters that are the main character of the movie, it's actually Dumbo is actually the character that says the least, because all you ever really hear Dumbo do is like crying or hiccuping. You don't really hear him make, he doesn't say anything throughout the course of the movie. In like later media, like when they had him in commercials or if he was in other stuff, sometimes he would talk, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, now we're gonna have Dumbo talk. It's like, no, in the movie he didn't say anything. Of course, the beginning of the movie is we see the at night, and we see all these storks flying through the sky, and it's it's like, well, where do babies come from? You're delivered by a bird. I do not know where that story came from. But for this, it works. We have all these storks flying over Florida and dropping baby animals into this circus. And, there's a couple of baby tigers, some baby bears, a baby hippo, baby giraffe. It's just all these cute little animal babies getting dropped off with their parents. And we watch this elephant, Mrs. Jumbo, waiting for a baby to come to her, and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come, and it doesn't come the whole night. And then, the next morning, this train goes off, and, the train, Casey Jr. is the name of the train. Very cute. The song that they use for the storks is "Look Out for Mr. Stork." Then we have Casey Jr., which is just, it's this train that they gave personality to. It's not really like, oh my god, the train is a major character in the movie. It's like, it's their transportation, but it's cute what they do with it. And they send the train off, and uh, then we cut back to this stork in the sky, this other stork that has this bigger bundle, and it plops down on a cloud because apparently you can sit on clouds, and it drops has the bundle next to it, and the bundle keeps slowly falling through the cloud. It has to keep pulling the bundle back out of the cloud, which is adorable. And it looks over this map of Florida, and whenever you look down at Florida, like from the sky, it in the movie it looks like the map. So I'm just like, not how things look like from above, but for the sake of the movie, I'll yes. Um, and the stork finds the train, follows the train, gets looks through the cars to find the right one, and then we get to the train where all the elephants are and where Mrs. Jumbo is, and whole little sequence with him. And the fact that if I remember correctly, the same guy that voices the stork, Mr. Stork, is also the same guy that voices Winnie the Pooh in the original Disney, and I believe Caw the snake from Jungle Book. I think that is correct. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, but I believe that those are the same characters, which is like, okay, the Pooh and this and the Winnie the Pooh and the stork, okay, I'll buy that. Caw the snake, very different character, but it works. And we watch. We watch Mrs. Jumbo be very happy as she gets her baby, and the stork is just funny. He's like singing, and then he gets out of the car, just like snagged out of the car, and and Mrs. Jumbo gets her little baby, and he's adorable, and all the other elephants are just like cooing and oohing and cawing, and just like, oh, he's so cute and everything. And then he sneezes, and we get the giant ears. And I would still find him adorable. It's like, it's an elephant. It's already a baby elephant. What is it? Okay, it has big ears. Okay, it's still adorable. And I love how protective Mrs. Jumbo is of her son. It's like, nope, my baby. I will love him anyway. I will love him forever. The way a mother's love is supposed to be. And so she has him, and then we get to that night or so, it starts raining, and that's where the train stops. And we have the train gets to its next destination, and they show all of the elephants, and they show the elephants and the camels and all the the stage hands, the crew, and everything, getting all the tents and everything set up. And like Dumbo's there trying to help as best as he can, and he's adorable. And the elephants are working, they're earning their keep beyond being in the parade. And I think the name of the song that they use is Roustabouts. I'm sure that has a terminology for something, but I don't remember. And we watch, the elephants help build the tent, and the camels are there, and they're doing a lot of the manual labor, and we see a lot of the other, humans aren't, 100% drawn, atomically correct in the movie. They're not supposed to. It's, silly symphony type of thing. And we watch that, and then we get to the next day, and we, or the next morning, and we get the parade of all the animals going through, and the hippo from Fantasia is in there, and I think they show some of the ostriches from Fantasia as well, and which is just funny. And Dumbo's in the parade with his mom, and he's following her, and he unfortunately trips over his ears, and then we get to her, the adorable scene of her bathing him, or him taking a little bath, and them interacting, and then we get the annoying humans that make fun of Dumbo because he has big ears, and that results in Mrs. Jumbo spanking one of the kids, which I'm just like, yes, I approve, yes, because the kid needs to learn manners, and or in my opinion he does. And he and everybody freaks out. I was like, oh, the elephant's on a rampage. And no, she's not. She's protecting her baby. And the elephant, they try to restrain her, and they, pull Dumbo away from her, and that just makes her even more angry. It's like, you have a rampaging, you have an angry elephant. Let's take its baby away and see how happy you're going to make it. No, don't take the baby away. And, and then, she gets locked up, unfortunately, and we get this great transition, and they talk about this in other, like stuff for about the movie. They talk about these great transition pieces that they did in Dumbo. And it's, we see Mrs. Jumbo in her cage, with the bars, the lines of the bars across her, and she's just swaying back and forth because she's so sad and she's shackled in there and she can't get out. And they have like all these signs, mad elephant, stay back, danger, all the way around it. And she's just like so sad. And then we break, and then we do the scene transition to Dumbo sitting in front of the circus tent with the lines, with the stripes on the circus tent. And he's swaying and he's sad. And it's just this great little transition. So it's like, yeah, you take a baby away from its mother and it's going to get sad, and you take a mom and take her baby, the mom's going to be sad, the baby's going to be sad, and then we see all the other elephants, the circus elephants, being, grade A bitches. And, he's like, well, he's, it's his own fault, it's, the whole concept of, proud race and everything, we can't have this freak being near us. And people, please. And, they're talking about Dumbo behind his back, and he shows up, and they're just like, nope, we're going to ignore him. And then we cut over and we see this little mouse, Timothy Q. Mouse. It's adorable. We cut over to him, and he's just sitting there, eating peanuts. The circus, and there are peanuts. And he's eating the peanuts, and he's like, I don't see anything that's wrong with Dumbo. So his ears are a little big. Oh, well, doesn't matter. And I love what they do with Timothy when the other elephants ostracize Jumbo, or ostracize Dumbo, and they're just like, nope. Mm-mm. And I love what he does. Dumbo is sad, and he goes off. And Timothy is like, it's the whole adage of, elephants are afraid of mice. I know the Mythbusters tested this at some point, are elephants really afraid of mice? And I do not remember what the result was. I don't remember if it was plausible or confirmed or busted. I do not remember off the top of my head, but I know that they tested it at one point. And, it's a cartoon, and, Timothy goes in and he scares them, and it's just hilarious. And like, first of all, an elephant up a flagpole is just funny in and of itself. And like, elephant on a ladder, like, also, like, yeah, no, those things would not hold the elephant. And like, they're just like all terrified, like, oh my god, it's a mouse. Like, they're terrified, and like up the ladder, up the pole, up, as far away from the mouse as they can get inside the circus tent. And he just like, he just terrifies them, and it's hilarious. And then he, kind of marches off to go find Dumbo. And he, him and Dumbo become friends. And, Dumbo's kind of afraid of him at first too. And then, Timothy kind of earns his friendship. And, what happens is, they hear the ringmaster talking. He's like, well, I've got this idea that I want to do, for all the elephants stacked on top of each other. First of all, we're going to stop right there, because elephants all stacked on top of each other is a bad idea. No, elephants are not designed that way, but for the movie, it's a cartoon. You get it. If it was in Bambi and they were trying to do it, I'd be like, no. Dumbo, sure. And Timothy decides, I'm going to get Dumbo in on that, because we can put Dumbo on top of this tower of elephants, and then he'll be, the star, the crowning achievement, and then they have to take care of him. They have to accept him. And so, Timothy sneaks into the tent, and it's this great reference. And I you know, they've stated one way or the other. They don't know if it was 100% what they were aiming for or not, but they went with it. That Timothy's shadow, as it, you know, as he creeps in and goes across to the bed, looks very Nosferatu-ish from the film. And this very, you know, this very creepy looking shadow with the clawed hands on the shadow, and this, you know, very, you know, scary figure creeping over the bed. And he sneaks up and he, you know, while the ringmaster is sleeping, he puts the idea in his head of, you know, put Dumbo on top of it. Good intentions, bad execution. And then, of course, we cut to, you know, the elephants slowly climbing on top of one another till we get this giant pyramid of elephants. Not a good idea. And then, you know, Dumbo is supposed to run out, jump off this springboard, and land on top. And he tries, and he trips on his ears, and results in elephants flying all over the tent. Elephants flying all over the tent. Bad idea. Lots of the elephants get hurt. Lots of the circus equipment gets destroyed. The audience all runs out. Not that I blame them. And then, you know, we cut to all the elephants have different injuries. One of them twisted his tail. Some of them have hurt legs, hurt trunks, you know, different, you know, things like that. And then we cut, you know, we watch the elephants decide, we must take the solemn vow. He is no longer an elephant, because they're going to put him in the clown act, which is just not fair for Dumbo. And do the whole stupid clown act with, you know, he's in the burning building, the clowns are supposed to save him, they're inept firemen, and then they, you know, they dump Dumbo into a tub of, I'm assuming, like whipped cream or something, or foam or something. And, you know, that just makes Dumbo so sad. And Timothy does his best to try to cheer up Dumbo as much as he can. And then they go and visit his mom. And she's, you know, of course, you know, she's very happy to see her baby. Of course she wants to see her baby. And she can't quite see him. Of course, she, you know, her trunk loops its way through the bars down so she can, you know, still pet Dumbo and hold him. And, you know, she makes a little hook for her trunk and she swings him back and forth as he's snuggled into her. And, you know, it's about the most contact they're going to get, unfortunately. And she starts singing the Baby Mine song, which I do believe was nominated for an Oscar. She starts singing Baby Mine, and we get all these different juxtaposition images of, like, all these other baby animals, you know, the monkeys, the bear, the tiger, the giraffe, the ostrich, the hippo, the, you know, all these other baby animals snuggled up nice and safe with their mom. And Dumbo's mom is trapped in a cage. And simply because she was trying to defend him. And, you know, that's one of the very heart-wrenching, I guess, moments would be a good way of putting it. And, you know, then that transitions from that into Timothy trying to make Dumbo feel better. And unfortunately, this results in them drinking water that has alcohol poured into it. Some type of alcohol or champagne or something, to the point where it gets both of them drunk. Because the clowns are stupid. And they want to get Dumbo, you know, if we raise him up even higher on the platform, we can get more laughs and get more money. And that results in, like, them drinking and partying, and then, like, the drink falls into the water that Dumbo and Timothy drink, and that makes them drunk. And then we get the pink elephants on parade sequence. Oh god. Oh god, the pink elephants on parade. It's like, well, Disney took a knock at surrealism. This was the result. And I mean, like it's it's a very good way of illustrating surrealism. It was like, but it terrifies Dumbo and Timothy, of course. And that they go through that the whole night. That all these different elephant illusions type thing, hallucinations. And then the next morning we see these crows, and they see the elephant and the mouse up a tree. Yes, the crows come into a bit of controversy for later on, for nowadays, most definitely, to the point where they probably wouldn't have either been in the movie or they would have been portrayed quite a bit differently. But in the time frame, they were based on the crows. For the way that the crows talk is based on different back talk between band members that were on different records at the time frame that those are kind of based on, like Cab Calloway and some of the other stuff. So it was based on that, was how they talked. I understand where the controversy comes in, and so I'm not blaming the I'm not saying that the people are wrong for saying there's controversy. I get it, I get it, I get it. For the context of when the film comes out, okay. And the crows, wake up Timothy and Dumbo, and then they realize we're up a tree. And then, well, maybe how do we get up there? How do we get up there? And then one of the crows goes, well, maybe you flew up. And that, of course, results in, when I see an elephant fly. I won't do that again. I'm sorry. I won't. I'm sorry. Do that, when I see an elephant fly sequence, which is just funny because it's like all these different idioms of horsefly, housefly, band, rubber band, dragonfly, peanut stand, just like all these different idioms. Or, it was like, well, those two things on their own are like, yeah, but they're like together, it's just like, it's just funny. And I just find that hilarious. And what happens is, then they, and, Timothy doesn't like that they're making fun of Dumbo, and he just admonishes them and like, no, you're not going to act that way about Dumbo. You're not. I will not let you do that to Dumbo. And, it does a whole, kind of the, he's preaching. Timothy's going to get there and preach. And, it makes all the crows, we're sorry. And they can, they help Dumbo, and then they teach him how to fly. And they give him the magic feather. It's just a feather. And they give him the magic feather, and they help Dumbo fly and, build his confidence. And then, we cut to Dumbo, back in his clown outfit up on the top of the burning building with the clowns. And he's supposed to jump out of the window and fly. And he jumps and he drops a feather, and then Timothy convinces him, no, you can fly on your own. You didn't need the feather. You can do it on your own. And he flies. And kind of gets his revenge. A little bit of revenge on the clowns and on the other elephants and on the ringmaster for what he's done, for what they've done to him. And then, of course, we get all these different sequences, Dumbo's ears insured, Timothy signs, Hollywood contract, Dumbo-based fighter jets. And, and then, of course, the end of the movie is, the train going by, and, the other elephants at the circus, singing Dumbo's praises. Because now they like him. Ugh. Fame. Some people are very fickle. And Dumbo, Dumbo's flying around behind the train, and then we see the new car on the train that has, Dumbo on it. It's got Mrs. Jumbo in the back, and she's perfectly fine again. And Dumbo flies down, and he gets to hug his mom. And that's basically where that story ends. Trivia on Dumbo from the movie itself. Because it was such a big success, one of the things that had been planned was Walt Disney and some of the people behind Dumbo had done a interview with Time magazine, and Dumbo was supposed to be put on Time magazine at the end of the year. and then Pearl Harbor happened. And this was the original cover that was supposed to be on that Time magazine with Dumbo on it. But it's not. Didn't happen. He unfortunately didn't end up being on Time magazine on the cover. It ended up being all about Pearl Harbor and how the U.S. was entering World War II. Not a good thing. A lot of the Disney characters were actually, up to that point, were actually used as different, art on the sides of different, planes and helicopters and different things like that, as kind of, like a representation of, this is, these are some of the things we're fighting for. It's like mascot stuff. In regards to Dumbo and other media, Dumbo has made a few appearances in House of Mouse. Not too many where he's not really a huge he's not really a huge cameo in any episode. He's there, he flies around every now and then. We watch him and Timothy a little bit, but nothing over the top. And in Kingdom Hearts, Dumbo is just a summon that you can use. He's supposed to be the last one from his world, and he's just a summon that you can use after you find you complete the right quest or whatever, then you get Dumbo as a summon. And it'll fly around. I've never been, some of the summons I don't really use. Dumbo, unfortunately, is one of the ones that I don't really tend to use very much when I'm playing Kingdom Hearts. He's cute, but I just don't use him. So he's there, and don't really get any story interaction with Dumbo. He's just a summon. Nothing. And then Dumbo does not appear in Once Upon a Time. I mean, there may have been like a reference to him at some point, like, is there going to be flying elephants next or something? For all I know, I don't remember. But the other thing that we get for Dumbo that is kind of a live action thing of being able to redo him is, of course, the 2019 episode, or the 2019 movie that they did that had Danny DeVito and a bunch of other Danny DeVito and Michael Keane and several other actors and actresses, and done by Tim Burton. And I will admit, when I first heard the Dumbo was going to get remade into a live action movie, okay, directed by Tim Burton. Okay. We'll see. I love Tim Burton. I do. I love, Nightmare Before Christmas. I love Corpse Bride. I love Tim Burton movies. But I was like, Tim Burton, Dumbo. I'm like, okay, we'll give this a shot and see what happens. And of course, it's still the same concept. Dumbo is born to his mom in the circus. And we get a little bit more interaction. There's not Timothy the mouse is not really there. He's like just this little side thing that's like this little pet mouse that the two kids have, and it's the two kids that are more of his friends throughout the movie, and they help him. And the circus, of course, is much more of a family. And so we work our way through those, and it's still good. They don't really bring in the songs, which is, understandable. I think Baby Mine is at least in there somewhere. And I know at least at some point they use Baby Mine as like an overtone. And the whole thing is, the circus becomes better, and I'm pretty sure that it is kind of a statement on, the concept of like animal cruelty in circuses, unfortunately. And they let the animals, kind of be free range animals at their circus by the end of the movie. And my answer to this is, I really hope in regards to like the lions or any of the other carnivorous animals, you're being a little more cautious with that. I mean, they do that. I'm sure they do that. I would hope. but yeah, it is a concept of, animal cruelty in circuses is kind of one of the messages that they were trying to send with the movie. And even before then, the circuses across the country, Ringling Brothers and, all these other circuses have been quite a bit, they have been much better with how they treat their elephants and how they treat their animals in general. And I think to the point where I don't think that many circuses actually have as many animals as they used to, or if they do, they're in much, much better conditions, which, in my opinion, is a good thing. So yeah, those are basically all that we get for Dumbo. As I said, gets a little bit in Kingdom Hearts, not really a bunch in House of Mouse or Once Upon a Time. Not really anything in Once Upon a Time, as far as I can remember, beyond like a statement here or there, or something about like flying elephants. Because Dumbo doesn't really delve into the magic area, and doesn't really delve into the concept of magic. And Once Upon a Time tend to focus around the different things that had to do with magic a lot, as opposed to like there's still some stuff in Once Upon a Time that's a little bit of a reference to less magical things. Like they talk about Robin Hood in it. And they but like Bambi also is not really mentioned in Once Upon a Time. But yeah, we see Dumbo and House of Mouse. Those are what we get for Dumbo. I do very much like the Baby Mine song, and it's just a sweet little lullaby thing. And also, of course, I do like when an elephant flies. Fun song, and it's a fun movie. It's supposed to be a fun movie, is what it was. Movie about acceptance, but also just like a fun movie that they wanted to do. And it was based off of a children's book, of course, as a lot of Disney's movies tended to be. Like Bambi was also based off of a storybook. So there's that. And you want to know where I get a lot of my information from beyond the internet? I watch the bonus features on the movies. Almost every time that I watch a Disney movie, or a movie in general, if there are bonus features that talk about the making of the movie, I tend to watch them. And, that's where a lot of my information comes from, is that. And I just have the brain that retains the Disney information. So, yeah. Dumbo, Mrs. Jumbo, and Timothy, Morpicue, I don't know. Maybe they'll make a reappearance at some point. We'll see. But yeah, Merpicue probably will. We'll see. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. The very things that hold you down are going to lift you up.